Americans are having less sex, according to a recent study. It was a general survey, and they said that American adults had sex 9 fewer times per year in the early 2010s than in the late 90s. And I don't know what was so sexy about the 90s, but it just kind of says that theories about why include parenting demands and social media. And we're not gonna go into more detail than that, but Amir, I told you we were gonna be talking about this. Americans are having less sex. Why do you think?
I think it actually correlates a lot with, social media is in there, but just how much technology and access to entertainment has increased since the 90s, even earlier than that. And I've actually looked into this for a while. So the one thing that drives people to have sex, the chemical itself, is dopamine.
And I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna go pick some of that up.
Yeah, and today we have more than ever in our history things that make us release dopamine. Everything from all the notifications to your phone to Netflix, all these things are depleting our dopamine. I know this sounds like a crazy conspiracy theory, but like I believe in the science behind it. And when we're spending up all of our time and our dopamine as a result on these different things, we have less of a sex drive as a result.
I don't know about dopamine and whether we're using it up, but I definitely get, and this article kind of mentions that there is a more instant gratification that's dependent only on your own desire for it that allows you to deliver on it. So like the dopamine is there. There's ways to get dopamine, and that is like, I'm gonna go get some Candy Crush now, and I'm gonna play it now, and it's better than like looking over at my girlfriend and being like, what mood is she in right now? What do I gotta do? And then there's also, they said with social media, there's the Tinder effect, which you might think sex is so easy to get now because you can just go shopping for it. But there was an interesting part of this that said that you are kind of simulating that intimacy without meeting a lot of people.
Right.
So they were saying that folks are sending a lot more like lurid photos, they're doing some kind of, and they use that. They're gonna go,
and that's sex.
Alone.
Like
it's not that it's sex, it's that it kind of gives you that sexual arousal and you get off on it in a certain way, and then compared to actually going and delivering on it, it's easier to do, but you still kind of get your rocks off that way a little bit.
Right.
And then they say that it's possible that masturbation's way up too because of more access to porn, and that porn could be more fulfilling. And then similar to that, couples could just sit next to each other and play Candy Crush instead.
It's true.
Which
so there's a lot of factors. It's like when you combine all of the different things that we have at our disposal to make us happy, it's like I want to like challenge someone to like completely disconnect for like a week and then like go out into society and just see how attracted you are to everything that's walking there.
I will say that when I stop, I don't know, if I keep myself away from social media and being as plugged in, I know that I have more meaningful interactions, period, with my significant other.
Right, it's true.
And so that brings you out of the virtual interaction into something. It's like I'm looking at someone and having that conversation, and then like you can touch each other, and it just seems more real.
If you feel it, yeah. You're not so desensitized to it all.
Yeah, and I get a lot of positive feelings and positive results from kind of being elsewhere. It's kind of cool throughout your day to read an article and you're somewhere else. Essentially, you're checking up on what your friends are doing in different parts of the world, and you do that. But it is nice to just kind of detach and come together and then come together.
Is this a bad thing that we're having less sex?
So to reinforce what the actual survey was, there are fewer sex acts happening. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are all, that the number of meaningful sex acts has gone down. So they say something, there's a really interesting thing toward the end of this article from CNN that says, compared with earlier generations, women might be viewing sex less as a duty to their husbands and more as a personal choice. Someone said it makes sense that women in relationships might be losing their sex drive and saying no more, as opposed to my mother's generation that just, and I don't know if this is true or not because I haven't really asked my mom because it sounds like it'd be super awkward. My mother's generation that just spread their legs and composed a shopping list in their head during sex. If that's true, then the decline in frequency is a good thing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Maybe there is more meaningful sex happening. They also say that like parents used to have more sex maybe.
Yeah.
Because their kids just had more freedom to do other stuff, and parents didn't hover as much. The hovering parent, they say sometimes, is like now so focused on like living vicariously through their kids, whereas back in the day, I don't know if I buy that.
I don't know if I buy it either. It's interesting. Like on a personal note, like sidebar, it's been kind of crazy seeing like as I've gotten older, my sex drive is slowly decreasing.
No.
Yeah, like
you're a stallion.
And I actually have to like work for it to like make sure like it doesn't like diminish completely. Like I could like easily like fall into just doing bullshit and not having sex.
Yeah.
Because there's bullshit for me, like there's other stuff that I could do that brings me pleasure. And like before you realize, you're like, wait, what happened to me when I was like a teenager?
Yeah. No, you're right.
It's
there's
crazy.
this little voice in my head that's like 13-year-old Brett.
I know.
Being like, there's a girl right there. Yeah. She's already had sex with you before. Yeah. Why are you not making out with her?
Yeah. At the very least, go home and jerk off right now.
But there's I remember one time, I remember the first time I was cleaning my house. And I was, not the first time I was cleaning my house. First time I was cleaning my house and it was the first time I was like, you know, if someone walked through the door and was like, let's have sex, I'd take a minute.
All the time.
But like, I remember when I was growing up, first time I said, I don't, this doesn't sound that great right now.
I'd rather be left alone right now and like, I wanna like watch my TV show.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want that.
I'm almost caught up on Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And I'll watch people have sex there, 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's bad. I think a lot of times, certainly throughout my life, I've put like sex at certain times as like, this is the thing to be going after right now at all times. Mm-hmm. And as I get older, it's like
priority shift.
No, I like just spending time.
Mm-hmm.
I like cooking a meal.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if you know it's a blue moon and the right time of day, maybe we'll some Al Green playing. Maybe Uptown Funk right after that. After that, some sad Ed Sheeran ballads and maybe Adele
just
singing
play
about her personal
Ed
turmoil.
Sheeran clip from Game of Thrones over and over again. Yeah.
Oh, who are you? Yeah. Or whatever the hell he says. God. All right.
Cool.
You guys are probably having sex now, listening to us talk about it. But why do you think people are having less sex? Let us know, and we'll see you next time.